Welcome to the most forward-thinking, inspirational podcast in this reality. The show designed to challenge everything we've been taught. If you've ever felt there had to be more to life, more to existence, then you're listening to the right podcast. Time to open your mind and dive in. This is the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast.
And here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a hot minute, but welcome back to this is still the Mental Mastery Alliance. I say this, I'm joking. We haven't actually recorded in a long time. We did a couple of recordings beforehand. We took off for a whole month, and we became super famous in Costa Rica. I don't know what it is, but the algorithm down there absolutely loved us and our message, and hopefully that parlays out, because I really like the idea that you can say something, do something, be something, and have your voice heard in any facet whatsoever down there. Joining us today, ladies and gentlemen, the very beautiful and lovely Kristy Morrison. She's been on the show before. You may know her. You may recognize her voice. You may have even worked with her in the Ottawa region if you've bought or sold a home. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
It's fun to have you. It's always fun to have you.
I absolutely love when we do these. It's been a while, and I'm like, oh, I miss it.
Yes.
We have good chats.
Yeah, definitely. We've done a few for our own show that has yet to be launched and or named. I think we came close to naming it. But yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a huge due process. I think that the context and the content that we're putting out over there is going to be kind of fun when it's ready to hit the market. But as for right now, haven't recorded since, I want to say, January. Or when we left, we were gone all of, what day is it?
We were gone a while.
Half of January, half of February. So it was early January that I did my last few recordings, which is kind of shocking because that was a time warp. But what an experience. What an experience to have spent a full month in Costa Rica, a different country, somewhere outside the influence of North America. What was your experience? What do you think? What was your takeaway from being away from North America? I mean, yes, people can say South America, what have you, but being out of, Canada, Mexico, United States, being away from that machine. Do you have a takeaway?
To be honest, I'm a little spoiled because I experience it regularly, right? So, things that, are obvious to first-time goers are now just second nature for me. So I even know we had a few conversations in the past when we were there on how the livelihood and demographic is in that country is so vastly different from our country, meaning they don't have the same amount of fear porn as we're pushed here in Canada.
Yeah. So
it's a little wild to be back here, and the first thing you hear on the radio when you get back, by 2032, we're going to have an asteroid hitting the world, and it could destroy all of us, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, what?
I have such a hard time with listening to the media talk about stuff. And we've said it 1,000 times that if you're third dimensionally inclined and not even trying to wake up, then you're living in the fear that they push you, which is a frequency.
They feed it. They feed so much off of it.
And if you're starting to wake up, now you're living in the anger of being aware of what they're doing to you, which is also a trap. It
kind of leads into my experience when I was there during COVID. That's the signifying point of my views on what we're told here in North America versus what's told there are two completely different stories. And that's when I was like, oh my God, we literally are fear porn country,
Yeah.
which is funny because I used to think that was the United States. I remember traveling to the States with my mom, and we put on the TV, and I remember looking at her in the hotel room like, why is it so like negative down here? And my mom's like, that's just the United States. But now that's us.
It may have always been us. I mean, we had a lot more stories about fluffy cats back in the day, but it's funny. I remember, stage one of waking up, it was like, alerting the Americans that they're the bad guy in a lot of the situations. Like, do you guys not understand that you're out there attacking other countries? And it's kind of funny because, they don't. That media is not spread out in that sense. And
They
to all of
deserve
my
it,
American
right?
listeners, I mean, you obviously understand and get this. I'm not attacking you or saying these things about you being the bad guy. I'm saying that the media machine behind it, and obviously, if you're listening to this show, you're certainly more awake. Actually, and to add on to what I was talking about just a couple seconds ago, you're either in third dimension and you're vibrating in fear, or you're in a fifth dimensional awakening state and you're vibrating in anger, or you're
Mhm.
in a deeper state of fifth dimension. You're past it all. I'm no longer angry. I'm no longer upset. I don't believe the conspiracies. Like me personally, I don't believe that all those people died of COVID. I also don't believe that all those people are being COVID vaccine injured. And I'm currently not sure if this episode will air on YouTube because I said COVID, and COVID vaccine. So, I mean, I don't know, what's going to happen. I know this will go up on our site for sure. No problem.
I don't know. Canada has put a lot of bans on what can and cannot be put out there, so
I'm also
you'll
seeing,
see.
I'm seeing my face as well right now because we're recording with a little bit of video, which we might use for snippets on the socials. I don't know. Maybe we'll put this on the TikTok and we'll see what happens. But I'm noticing the growth on this mustache. My facial hair and my fingernails just kept growing. Ladies and gentlemen, we left for a month and I was clean shaven when we went down there. I don't know what happened. I
It's
certainly
got
wasn't clean
like
shaven.
it's got like a good foot beard right there.
And that was a joke for anyone watching viewing this episode. To those of you listening to it, just imagine the greatest beard you've ever seen, and then put it on my face. Perfect. I like my listeners, and they enjoy some comedy from time to time. So I hope it's okay with you, Ms. Morrison.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, good, good. I feel happy to be back and to be recording, and this is the first, the first crack at it in a long time. So I miss this. I miss talking to the audience. I miss being able to sort of just get out there and jump. And it's not that we couldn't do it down there. The tech is different, and your mindset's different, which leads me to the next thing, which is the
Yeah.
prisons that we all live in. I say to myself, I can't do it, or I won't do it. I can do it. I should do it. I will do it. Blah blah blah. But because I'm so familiar with sitting in the office and sitting with this, having the microphone up to my voice, being able to do things like this, tell a joke and get some applause.
Well, it's a
This kind of
controlled
thing.
environment too, right?
You don't get, I sit there and I think to myself in the still of the night as I sit on the porch and I ponder. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. Oh, that's also the wrong button. Wait, here we go. There, see, yeah. This is me thinking, oh, how wonderful. What a fantastic, what are those crickets? Um, I you put that prison in yourself. You put that idea in your mind. You say to yourself, I can only do this from this position. I can only do this from here. I can only do this with the microphone that I'm used to speaking into. And whatever story we tell ourselves about anything becomes our truth. So a small microcosm of that is this podcast. We absolutely could have recorded down there.
We actually intended
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, we had the gear. We had some semblance of the gear, and we had the knowledge and the understanding of how to edit it together to make it work. But then we didn't do anything with regards to the podcast. And
Yeah.
it's that prison, that ideology mindset, that prison ideology mindset. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm not saying I'm in jail. I'm saying that I've locked myself into a belief and have then not allowed myself to further that belief. So I myself, and this is something that's so absolutely true, I am my prison, I am the walls, and I am my own warden when it comes to this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And you were talking about that. Why aren't we there? Why haven't you gone for a year? Why haven't you just walked away and done this, that, and the other thing and created something? A world where we're frustrated to no end with how Canada is crippling us as opposed to being the land of the free. I don't know. I don't know. I look at all that and I think to myself, how do we get out of that mindset? How does anyone get out of that mindset? Or how does anyone even acknowledge that it exists in the first place?
A lot of self-awareness, and I don't know how much Canadian citizens care right now. Um, Case in point, I was telling you earlier, my client, she was just like, please sell my business, get me out of here. I want to go to another country. I can't stand this mindset anymore around me. Because
Yeah.
we live in like a small community, and she was just watching the Facebook pages, applauding an obviously big villain in our world.
William Gates.
And they're applauding him, and she's just like, I can't handle it. She's like, I'll take me out. I want to go to like Portugal on the hideaway. And I was just like, yeah, I feel ya.
To all of our Portuguese listeners, could you let us know what it's like over in Portugal? Because we have thought about going over there. I hear stunning things and amazing things, but if you don't want immigrants, let us know, and we'll bring our friends.
I think we should go this fall. Just check it out.
I agree. It's on the list of things and places to go and be and see and do. It's certainly up there. I hear the people are beautiful, and the energy is amazing, and that's one thing that was one massive takeaway too. I mean, you're hearing fear porn everywhere. The people are bad. You're in trouble if you go here. You know, they're not kind to Canadians. All this stuff on the news, and then you get there, and everyone's super happy to have you there, super happy to meet you. It's like it's a wonderful experience. And I'm not talking resort. I'm not talking all inclusive. I'm talking you're out in the towns where people are really friendly towards you to see you and to share in your energy and essence. I didn't have a single problem while we were down there. Yet up here, you hear just constant, these people are out to get you, the cartels, watch out for this, don't do that. And it limits people from doing the travel. Speaking of limiting travel, we came back and a day or two after we landed, I think it was 2 days after we landed, the Delta Airlines flipped over.
Yeah, it was 2 days because Saturday it was like midnight. We got landed. Sunday was a massive snowstorm.
Yeah.
And then
Well, Sunday at
Monday,
midnight we landed, and then Sunday was the massive storm, and then Monday it flipped.
right. Yeah.
And now, to those of you who have been listening to the show for quite some time, you know that I have a penchant for conspiracy theories. I don't have the ability right now to quite put my finger on it without sounding like an asshole, but I don't believe all of these plane crashes are real. I believe that maybe something happened. I believe that something's going on. I believe that they're creating a narrative right now that is indicative of fear, fear, fear. Do not travel.
Yeah.
Planes are
Yeah.
blowing up all over the place. Planes in Trump's America are blowing up all over the place. And I understand the idea that they want to make this a thing because they tried to make you not travel with COVID. They've tried to make you not travel before. They want to lock you in. They're going to introduce something called 99-year mortgages so that you're completely anchored into wherever it is you are and you're thankful for the opportunity to be there. But these plane crashes. I mean, why on earth did two planes collide at the airport and that not be enough? In any world, that would have been like, if that was a real true story, it would have either made news or they would have buried it. But in this world, in old Comic-Con in which we live in currently, Vince Neil's plane crashed into Vince Vaughn's plane. For no reason. For no reason at all did we have to add names at all. We don't need to know who's owner of what got into Smashy Smash Land. But why did they have to release the names? And why did they both have to be names that we know? And why did they both have to be named Vince? There's absurdity to that. And then again,
Completely
when
absurd.
you watch the footage of the Delta plane, the way that the information was released, the way that the plane landed, the way that we saw the plane upside down, the way that it strictly looked like green screen. There are holes in the story.
I mean, I think that's the point about your question earlier. How are we going to transition as a society into, a more fifth dimensional perspective? And it comes with like questioning and self-awareness. And it, people, I don't think your listeners, because obviously they've been on here long enough. they question. But the ones that might be tuning in for the first time and they're like, "What the hell is this guy talking about?"
Yeah.
Why? Why? What is wrong with having a question? It doesn't mean anything is like a complete answer when you're doing it. It just leads to more questions.
Right.
Once you start leading down more questions here and there, things become resonant. Like, oh, okay, this makes complete sense. And you start seeing patterns, and you're like, okay, there's no fucking thing of.
In that same vein, I was having a conversation with a listener not too long ago. And she says, I don't know, your show, you don't really give any answers. I'm often left with more questions.
Exactly.
And
That's
I said
good.
to her, I said, 100%. I said, that's absolutely true. Because I'm not here to give you answers. Nobody should be here to give you answers.
But I think that's indicative of the world that we're kind of in. We've been trained to just follow the answers we're given in school.
Right. Yeah.
You know, 1 + 2 is 3.
That took too long. Your brain went ahead of itself on that one. 2 + 2 is 4. You're like, 1 + 2 is, oh, shit. What?
But the whole point is like, it teaches us, this is the answer.
Yeah.
Someone's like, well, what? No one's like, why?
Yeah, don't ask why. Because if you do, you're an asshole and you're a
Well,
shit
also
disturber,
too, as a
and you're
child,
disturbing
if
the
you
class.
ask, exactly, if you ask why as a child, you're considered a problem child. You're thrown
Yeah.
on a bunch of medication, and you're not allowed to ask questions. You have to obey.
You have too many questions. You should do drugs about it. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I remember the kids in my school, and I was in school in the 90s, so I was in high school in the 90s, and I remember the kids on Ritalin. They just didn't take it. They sold the Ritalin to other kids who then crushed it and snorted it. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing at 16, 17, 18? Crushing Ritalin and snorting it. I mean, we're being influenced by something. And right now, the world's being influenced by Taylor Swift predominantly. And when you can see it, when you can see the manipulation take place, it's absurd. And then when you look back to your own version of manipulation, I mean, prime example, again, to anyone listening to the show for a long time. If you haven't been listening to the show for a long time, where have you been, first off? Secondly, welcome to the show. It's nice to have you. Thirdly, to those who have been listening and to those that understand my style, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, ladies and gentlemen, if we haven't thought about this for a minute, let's just think about this right now. You and I, if you're in your 40s, you and I, if you're really good looking, you and I, even if you weren't, grew up watching reptiles eat pizza. And that is pretty significant when it comes to how they've manipulated us a certain way. If you don't know what I'm talking about, by all means, feel free to look that up. Reptilian pizza parties. So I look at all this stuff and I'm like, okay, well, what was, so simple and so so childlike in enjoyment, which was a cartoon back in the day, affected our brains, affected our ability to make decisions in the future. And when I say there's a long con and a big game being played, that's the kind of shit that I'm talking about too. We haven't done a deep dive conspiracy style episode, but I mean, we could touch on a little bit of all of them today, which we're kind of doing right now. But that's the stuff that's
it all started with the peacefulness of Costa Rica.
100%, because it's a different energy atmosphere, and it allows you time to think about certain things. And it's like, why do we have to live in a world where everything's trying to kill us? Why do I,
No.
ladies and gentlemen, I suffer from, and if you aren't into too much information, by all means, just mute me for a second. I suffer from IBS. I had my gallbladder removed. I told the story of it. I should actually retell the story of it because it's been so long. But the day I died twice, the gallbladder removal day. I don't have a gallbladder. I have IBS. I'm hesitant to be too far from a bathroom most of the time. There are things you can do about it. Sure, there's medications you could take. I'm wonderful. Here's a pill, shiny little pill. Aside from medication and aside from doing any of that stuff, which I do nothing of, spending a month in Costa Rica, I had totally regular bowel movements. Woke up in the morning, did my business, crisp and clean, down she went, and then off for a nice sunrise walk. Bloop. Bloop indeed. And sorry again to all of those who didn't want that kind of information. If that's the
No, let's be
case,
honest. Most of your listeners probably have something medical in question with themselves. And the point is, it's our country.
yeah, the food's trying to kill you. Um, and that's not me passing blame. That's not me being like, oh, I live in a world where everything's trying to kill me. Would a sponge do this?
Observant.
It's more, yeah, being observant, like you just said. It's more understanding, comprehending how you can navigate this. I mean, do I get upset that the world's trying to kill me? It's almost like, no, I live in the world. So somehow or another, I chose to come here. Maybe. I think we chose to come here. I think soul contracts are indicative of the idea that we're here for a reason.
Yeah,
And
I think we came here to be part of the change.
but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's true also. Um,
Well, I did.
yeah. I mean, I came here to be an agent of chaos. I know that much. But does that mean, what does that mean? Because we can't change the game for better. If we're playing a game, all we can do is sort of pick our side and play our role, really, our character. And if you're going to play your character well, that speaks volumes to your character. Haha. See what I did there? That everything's a play on words. Words have power.
Well, that's the thing. Like, if this is a game, let's just say the game is designed to kill us. We got poison dropping down from our air, cleaners that we clean our house with is poison. All of our food is sprayed, and you have to pay extra to not have sprayed food. Sugars in our cereals, red dyes in our candies,
Industrial strength floor cleaners in our Cheerios.
industrial strength friggin' alcohol. Like, every which way you look at it, you could be like, "Oh fuck, this is hopeless. What am I even caring for?" But I think the point is making conscious decisions every single day. Can we avoid 100% of the toxicity? Not at this current moment. Can we choose what we allow? Yeah, of course. I only use like natural body products that don't have endocrine disrupting hormone products in it. I don't use like I pretty much buy organic as much as I possibly can, unless it's like outrageously expensive, like 4 times the price. Then I'm like, well, maybe I won't get these like $24 small thing of strawberries.
And you know what's true? Like you're really good at that. And I think it's funny how you sent me a message yesterday and it's like they're on to us being on to them and they rebrand so quickly. You ended up inadvertently buying sunflower seed oil.
Yeah, so that was the craziest thing. I don't know if you have we have the video right now. So here
Yeah.
you are watching this. This is huge, Costco. And it is like a horse organic premium. And it looks exactly like my olive oil because it has the horse and it says organic and premium, blah, blah, blah. And I just instinctively put it in my cart. I bring it home and I'm like, sunflower oil? What is this horse shit?
Yeah.
Because any seed oil is a known toxin.
Mhm.
And if you don't know that, you can go down that rabbit hole yourself and figure it out on your own. Because me telling you, you're not going to believe me. But if you figure it out on your own, you'll get it.
Yeah.
So now it's sitting here on my floor, ready for me to bring it back. I'm not eating that. So it's
No.
about the conscious decision. But yeah, they are. They're also rebranding. They have special names for those bugs that they're putting in drinks, which is completely unnecessary. They rebranded names for sugar. I think there's over like 50 different names for white sugar. Why? Like it should be white sugar. And then we could look at it and be like, no, I don't want this. Or
It should actually be
aspartame.
bleached white sugar. That's what you're getting.
But that's the whole point. Like it's toxic. It's not, it's something more natural and it's designed that way. It's designed so that we mindlessly consume. We're already busy. We have insanely busy lives with our work. We have busy lives with our children, with our spouses, with our extended family members, or with our parents. There's so many things that are put on our plate. What's the last thing someone wants to do? Go to war with what they choose every night for dinner.
Yeah, they're
They
at
just-
war with us and we're not even paying attention. Like who's really like what the fuck's the point? Like, if you want to go to war with me, at least allow me to defend myself properly as opposed to just quietly killing me. I feel like I should
Yeah,
press
so
this
it-
button though for sure.
Disclaimer. If you're going to soundbite any of this podcast, you must soundbite it in its entirety for consistency and context.
There will be no taking us out of context today, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, and that's even a sad freaking part of the world that we're in now. They're like, they said blah, blah, blah. You know what? All of this can be proven. And if you take the time to actually just dive in at what is in the stuff that is sold to us,
Yeah.
you're gonna eventually hit a point where you're like, okay, well, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm gonna make different choices. And the way I live today is a compound of 10 years of making different choices. I didn't start off this way. I started off extremely small, and I'd find one product that was good for me and I'd stick with it. And then I'd be like, okay, I'm going to buy bread. I'm no longer going to buy this ultra bleached processed bread, which
Right.
has a 0 rating on the, can I use the Yucca app? I love it.
Probably.
0 rating or whatever.
So it's actually got a rating. Wonder Bread, which we were taught to believe was enriched in vitamins, it has a 19 out of 100.
Yeah, which is horrible. And I think it's flagged red. So
Yeah.
they have color codings like red, orange, green. Green means good, go. And I was in the grocery store. I actually had a conversation with an older man because he was like, oh, this is great bread. And I was like, oh, yeah, I think so too, but let's check it out. And it was sourdough bread, and it was like a 96 out of 100 green. It says great. He's like, wow, that's a cool app. He's like, what does it do? And he's like, it tells you what's toxic and what's not. And it literally now, the technology they have now makes the process a lot easier for those who want to make conscious decisions than it was 10 years ago when I was having to read every damn ingredient. And my Cole's notes for that was the least number of ingredients, the better it is. That's the only basis I had to go off of.
I'm also going to throw out there that somebody in the audience has clearly just stated, and I heard them say it. Oh yeah, sure. You're just going to trust one app over everything else. No, we're not going to trust one app over everything else. We're going to take the information that one app gives us. We're going to understand that every single thing under the sun can be bought.
Yeah.
We're going to amalgamate the information that we've collected from everybody else. We're going to ask ourselves, what do they have to gain by burning Wonder Bread and promoting somebody else? And you're going to see what chemicals are actually in there, because you can look at the chemicals and the reasons why they've given you this. And you can cross-reference that with previous knowledge, with anything that you want. Don't ever take one piece of something and make a life out of it. Obviously,
100%. Yeah. Like
but I'm adding that in there because people do want to.
You're
Oh,
right.
to hell with these guys! They're saying this, that, and the other thing, and they're trusting one fucking thing.
No, I got like 6 apps that I use. So, personally, it's helped. But I do always look, especially if I'm trying out something new.
Right.
I always look into it. I'm like, okay, well, why is this rated poorly? Is it because it has an additive that is a known toxicity, like it could cause cancer or endocrine disruptors, all those things that I've seen in there? Or is it too much salt? Okay, great. If it's too much salt, I just won't eat that much of it. So it's just being mindful. And that's the whole thing about being conscious about the decisions.
Well, there's another thing too. Our bodies need minerals. We are
Yeah.
vastly depleted from minerals.
Yeah.
And salt is a great thing to consume.
Mhm.
However, bleached white table salt is cancer.
Exactly.
So when it says too much sodium, you're like, for who and for what? Because who's telling me too much sodium? The current medical field that I can't trust anyway, in any capacity whatsoever, or my own body. You know what I trust when I see too much sodium? Do my hands fucking swell up the next day? Then it's too much sodium, too much bad salt, and stop eating whatever it was that made that happen. Unless, of course, it's food court Chinese food. Then just ignore the swelling because it's delicious.
You and I are different on that respect. If my body tells me no bueno, I don't want to touch it.
My body tells me no bueno about absolutely everything. So I'm like, oh, well, I'm gonna have to try something.
Okay, that's a lie. You admitted you were different in Costa Rica.
In Costa Rica, it's almost hard to. Well, I mean, you can't get all the processed stuff that you can get up here. I mean,
You can. It's just insanely expensive, so no one buys it.
well, also, yeah, when we got back, we had some of our favorites, a couple pies, some chicken wings, which you can get down there, and the wings down there were fine.
Because they also they deep fry too in like fats instead of like sunflower oil, which is a killer.
Yeah, duck fat, beef tallow. Yeah, you're getting a better cooking ingredients for sure. And it's not like one meal is going to make or break any of us. but
No,
it's the
it's a
culmination of all
compound.
of them.
Yeah.
So it is kind of wild, it's wild to put ourselves in a position where, again, I'm not giving answers. I'm just saying, the app, by the way, in case you're wondering what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is the Yucca app, Yuka. You're going to hear a lot of people talking about it. If you are interested, I mean, there's no affiliate link or anything like that. Just go download it. Check it out. I'm not getting paid to market this. I'm just saying, add it to your repertoire of things that you
Yeah,
look
we're
up.
saying we enjoy it.
Yeah,
That's it.
it's not endorsed, financially. Although, if anyone from Yucca is listening, I will endorse your app. Feel free to reach out for advertising purposes. I'll take your money. In this day and age, I've not even run ads except for in Germany. Sorry to my German listeners. I've not even run ads on this show. And it, we could take on sponsors, specific sponsors, because money's tight all across the board in everyone's facet. So since we're talking about it, I might as well just say, hey, if you want to advertise on this show, and if I like your product, shoot us an email. If I can support it and if I can get behind it, I will absolutely take your advertising dollars. If I don't like it, don't reach out to me. Like if you're trying to sell something weird, not interested. I don't want to waste my viewers' time with anything.
Like, would you like this soul-sucking app that,
No,
will take you away from everything? No, we don't want it.
no, ladies and gentlemen, if you ever hear my voice advertise anything that is anything I've spoken against, turn off the show. They've commandeered my body in meat suit, and they've got a robot out there, a robot, which is another fun. Speaking of conspiracies, I sent you that link that somebody sent me right after we were talking about robot birds.
Yeah.
And funny thing about robot birds, ladies and gentlemen, I've tried to get somebody on the show that is a firm believer in the robot bird theory, which is pigeons are spy cams sent to keep an eye on humanity. I'm not opposed to the idea. At first, I thought it was absurd, but I'm not opposed to the idea because I've said flat out that we were trained to believe that robots were like Terminator 2, exoskeleton, human flesh on top of metal. That's not my best Arnie, but it was up there. It was an Arnie or an Australian or something. It was an accent. Anyhow, I did a voice. That wasn't. Yeah. No, it was good. It was good. Thanks. No, guys, hold your applause. It's all right. Oh, we have a laugh track too. I'm hilarious. Oh, no. Calm down. It's okay. All right. You in the back. Stop it. Excellent. So then the idea being that we're taught a certain thing, and this applies to virtually everything, but we're taught a certain thing with regards to birds. So I think, how could they possibly be robots because they're not, bouncing off the cars full of metal and ting, ting, ting. And I said, there's a high likelihood that you can make a robot out of a complete meat suit. And I said, there's even a chance that you and I are robots inside our meat suit because we believe that this is the only way to do robotics. So we don't bother looking any further. And then what happens? This article comes out that somebody sent me, so I forwarded it to you, and it's all about how somebody's made a robot with all of the bones of the human body, and then it's a jittery Guillermo del Toro bloody meat suit. It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. It's happening.
It was the creepiest looking thing ever. Like, it says it walks like a human, and they're starting to take orders. I was just like, that is so creepy.
Yeah. And at what point, see, that's the extent too, because at what point do we say, okay, that this is a robot, this isn't a robot? We were watching that other movie that came out the other day
I was
too.
just going to say
Companion.
that movie.
Yeah. He had to explain to her that she was a robot.
Yeah.
And
she had like reasoning and emotions, but they were programmed into her.
yeah. And so who's to say that we aren't that already? Who's to say that whatever it is that we exist on is not robotic programming, that we're like, hey, I'm trying to be real. I'm a real boy.
No, anything's possible. I don't believe in anything anymore.
Yeah. Right. And there was that old saying too, stand for something or fall for everything. And the minute you stand for something, you've locked yourself in. You've created a prison wall.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying don't stand for stuff. Obviously, have your morals, but certainly be open and flexible to all of it. That's freedom. That's liberation. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter at all what other people are doing. It does matter that they're doing their best to influence you, which also states, since the powers that be or the world that we live in appears to be doing everything it can, bending over absolutely backwards to manipulate you. Yes, you, Karen, listening to the show right now. They're manipulating you. All of this is for you. And the Karens of the show are just like, hey, wait a minute, he's talking to me. That feels weird. That's right. You too, Richard. I'm talking to you too. If it's all for you, that is pretty impressive. That makes you pretty important. Because why would somebody try to kill you in every possible way without making it seem like they're trying to kill you? Why would you be so important that an entire civilization was invented for you to be in right now? That's how important you are. You, the listener, not just the Karens and the Richards. And the hacky sack Chads in the corridor. Actually, none of those guys are listening to the show.
They're not listening. They're not.
The Chads?
They're not real to us.
They're waiting, though. They're waiting. They're waiting to be like, hey, I heard you talk about something that I want to make fun of you for because that's the system pushing back. Right? And here's another thing, talking about the system pushing back. When you started your healthy diet-ish or your awareness of the diet, the amazing amount of people who were influential in your life, mothers, husbands, fathers, what have you, how many of these people made fun of you for thinking this way or for attempting to break free from a certain long programmed mindset?
I mean, I think the way I did my transition is I did it so the only person who really saw it was my husband at the time. Everyone else didn't really see it. Like if I went out to someone's house, I wasn't obnoxious. You know how some people get obnoxious about their food? Be like, I won't touch that. It's not organic. And you're like, okay, shut up.
Nice. Yeah.
Right? I understand if you have like allergies, you're like, hey, is there peanuts in this? Because I'll die. That's different. But if
Yeah,
you go in with like
Louis.
pretentious, but with a pretentious kind of like view, yeah, it's annoying. So no one knew except for Eric. And thankfully at that time, I think he was ready for the change as well. He was pretty into everything I said. I was like, yeah, this sucks, and this is why. He's like, okay. So that was nice.
Interesting.
When I was out with friends and we were at dinner and I'm paying for my own dinner, yeah, okay, I'm gonna be picky. I'm gonna be like, okay, well, I'm gonna pick XYZ over this other one that I know is more gross and probably not organic and deep fried and bullshit. So that's when, the friends would make fun of me, be like, oh, yeah, look at you and your little diet.
That's kind of funny, yeah. Because then you're like kind of shamed for it. But I'm laughing at you talking about how when you're out paying for your own meal type of thing. We've gone out for dinner before, I'm assuming. And I don't think I personally never order off the menu or I never get it the way they want to deliver it to me.
Like you alter it.
I if that's a thing where people like make fun of you for the way you order, I'm always doing something weird. And I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know if, I don't know. Yeah, I like restaurant food. And then today's day and age, like restaurants used to be super expensive, but I mean, it's almost as cheap, or it's not cheap. It's almost the same price to eat at a restaurant as it is to go and fucking try to prepare a meal.
You know what? I'm actually wondering if it is not just cheaper to eat at a restaurant than it is at home, because at home, when you're buying hundreds and hundreds of dollars of groceries, a massive chunk of that is thrown out. And then you have the time to do your dishes and put it away. So if you factor in your time is worth money. And the fact that you're throwing away a massive amount of your groceries because you can't eat it that fast, or you buy, let's say, like 4 heads of lettuce, and then Sally comes into town and, okay, well, you're not eating that head of lettuce tonight. You're going to go out with Sally. Things happen, right? And that's why we end up throwing away a lot of food. So but maybe it is just cheaper.
Yeah, you know what? I think if somebody like did a meal plan or something like that, for the year, and we used to make fun of the meal preppers, the guys that put it out together for a week. But honestly, it's got to the point right now where I'm like, I'm not even interested in variety. I literally just want to not be hungry. So that's the whole purpose of eating, right? You just take a pill or something like that. Soylent Green, perhaps. Dun, 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 dun.
I like variety, but I'm also a snacker. I much prefer small meals multiple times throughout the day. Like, I'll have a piece of Parmesan cheese, and Parmesan cheese is like one of the better cheeses out there. It's also high in protein, which is also great for a snack.
A delicious snack. It's a lot cheaper in Toronto than it is in Ottawa, too, oddly enough.
Yeah, there's a lot of things actually I'm noticing this. It's funny. Everyone says Toronto's cheaper, but it seems like every time I'm there, it's
Toronto's more expensive, which is what you meant to say. And it is.
yeah,
To
yeah,
live
yeah.
here, it's absurd.
But everything
Um,
else around you.
but there are some things, because there's so much bulk, they've got bigger buying power, that it's a little bit cheaper for sure. Cheese
Yeah,
being
the
one of
car
them.
I leased was cheaper in Toronto. They said for sure in Ottawa, they said for sure I got a better deal because I went to Toronto for it.
Yeah. And the interesting thing too is when you're in Ottawa and you go like into Renfrew or whatever for a pickup truck, you're going to get a better deal out in the country.
Which is wild.
But and then of course when America becomes Canada's 11th province, we're going to have a much better deal on houses because everybody that's in here is going to move south, and then there's going to be scarcity up here, and there's going to be lots of places sitting empty, and we're going to be able to afford houses again. The Canadians that stay in Canada, America North.
American North.
I mean, that's a whole other podcast. I mean, we could definitely
That
dive
is
into
a whole other podcast for sure.
But yeah, are you opposed to it or against it? I mean, that's to me, that's the whole thing. They want to do this. They want to create
So
division.
you asked me 20 years ago or 30 years ago, do you want to be part of the States? I would have said hell no, because
Emphatically, no.
at that point, to me, the States was fear porn mecca, and Canada, in my mind, was a la 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 la. This is great. I love my
Yeah,
neighbor.
we were
Hello,
definitely
Frank.
Smurf Village.
Like,
Yeah.
right? It was totally Smurf Village. Now we've lost a lot of what we used to be. I'm noticing people are very angry, cranky, irritable, road rage up the ass. People are, you know, tighter on their money. Buying power for first-time home buyers, which is what I work with a lot, way different. They have to typically have mom and dad be a co-signer. They typically have to have gifted funds. It's not easy. Like a townhouse back in the day, you could get for 100 grand. Now they're easily 6 or 7, depending on where they are in the city.
It's
A
absurd.
million in Toronto or whatever. So
Yep.
it's not. I don't have the same emotional tie to Canada as I once did.
Mhm.
The friendliness and the camaraderie between neighbors isn't as apparent as it once was, is what I'll say.
Well, also, and during COVID, they convinced your neighbors to turn on you.
They vilified, yeah, but
Yeah,
that
which is
also happened in the
hilarious.
States as well. However, the thing about the States, even if we're on the same parallel of everyone being cranky, it's cheaper. So I'm kind of leaning towards it doesn't bother me. And then, I say that to my parents, and then they're all like, oh, Trump, he's an idiot, blah, blah, blah. I understand the bigger picture. No matter who you pick, the left or the right, it's the same illusion of choice. And no matter what you do, you're not going to be happy. It doesn't matter, but it's cheaper. So if Trump is eliminating tax, which in Canada, we are so taxed to death now, a lot of people are being pushed into poverty. They're losing things. April 1st, we're getting another 20% increase on our carbon tax, which is already up the wazoo. I think I had an energy bill last month. It ended up being like 140 or $50, and majority of that was taxes and surcharge fees implemented recently. And I think I only used like $30 worth of actual energy,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
stupid. Like 120 something, $30 of taxes and carbon taxes.
Yes,
Stupid.
because the idea is not about money. It's not about taxation. It's not about what they're getting from you. It's a matter of what you don't have. And that's the thing. The less money you have, the more you're going to work for money. And the more you work for money, the less you have the ability to find out who you are and what you're doing and why you're here.
Yeah, you're distracted. You're focused on surviving. You're focused on trying to pay your bills. You're focused on paying food for your kids. Especially like you order a pizza nowadays, a large pizza is easily 40 or $50.
And when we got back, I ordered the pizza and chicken, $72.
Ridiculous.
It's
When I
absurd.
was in Colombia, I lived in Colombia in like 2018 for a month. I got an extra large pizza for like $10.
Yeah. Yeah, because we don't need to. We don't need to pay these prices. But
But it's a trickle effect and people don't understand. If you are having to be taxed up the wazoo, um and hydro rates are going up, rent rates are going up, everything's going up. People are just passing the buck on to someone else. It's not sustainable
I agree with
in
that.
in my opinion. So I don't know. You know what I think would be beneficial if we were to get sucked up by the United States? I think it'd be really cool for me on, a Friday night, be like, you know what? I'm chilly. I'm gonna drive down to Florida and not have anyone stop me. I don't need to worry about my passport.
Yeah.
It
These
would be
invisible
cool.
borders that they put me under, I don't have to acknowledge
Yeah.
anymore.
I would totally go on random road trips.
Now, in the third dimension, in the full on third dimension, you're going to have people arguing the pros and cons. They're going to
Yeah.
fucking argue with internet strangers.
Yeah.
And that's also what they want.
They want you to fight each other, ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen.
But they don't need to. Hey, Jess, did you want
Bam,
to say
bam.
hello to the audience? Yes. Can she hear me? Jessica,
Oh.
Jessica, we've got an audience listening to hear you. Say hello, Jessica.
She's in the kitchen.
Gosh darn it. I saw her walk by. Um, Argument. That wasn't very professional of me, ladies and gentlemen, to yell at somebody in the background of the screen that I'm looking at. But I thought it was funny. So I apologize profusely for my atrocious actions. If people are arguing, then they're not paying attention again. And I
Yeah.
don't want to argue whether it's good or bad. I see both
Yeah.
sides. And honestly, irregardlessly of my opinion, whatever is going to happen is going to happen. What's left for me to
Yeah,
do
it's gonna
is
happen no matter what.
act upon my sense. What I'm not going to do is boo the American anthem. I think that that's just as staged as anything else. I don't see people violently, opposing these things. I just don't see the aggression. I don't
Well,
see
I
the
think
need
it's
for it.
hilarious. There's a lot of people in these community pages, boycott American things. Yo, yeah, Walmart's American, but guess what? The 150 employees at the Walmart down the street employ Canadians. So don't be an idiot.
Yeah, yeah. I again, we're going to do what we need to do, but those of us who are aware of certain things just need to observe it. And if you're starting to become aware, um, don't allow yourself to get wrapped up in the bullshit because, again, like I said, they take those who are unaware and have them live in fear. They take those who
Yeah.
are waking up and have them live in anger. Both frequencies are detrimental to you. The next
Mhm.
stage of that awareness and that waking up is living in not acceptance, but more living in curiosity. You're no longer living in the answer, and now you're living in the question.
Mhm.
And when you live in the question, you get the opportunity to be inquisitive. You get the opportunity to have fun with things again because nothing's so serious anymore. And you get to live your life a little bit better.
Heck yeah.
I think too. On that note, we could wrap this episode up just simply because we could go on for hours and hours and hours. But we've already done. I'm gonna guess around 40 minutes because I
I have
forgot
no
to look at the
idea.
time when we clocked on. But yeah, this is a straight shot. I'm also, ladies and gentlemen, I've been dabbling with AI, so I'm gonna leave you with one of the songs that I've been putting together. And the idea behind this music is we're going to be doing fifth dimensional rock music, maybe even fifth dimensional other stuff. But I've really been playing with AI and I've really been having a lot of fun with it. It's amazing for me to have the songs that I've wanted to hear, the songs that are stuck in my head, come out. So we're going to wrap this episode up with one of those songs. And I hope you guys like it. But, Kristy, is there
I
anything
like
that
it.
you would like to say or add before we sign off with music?
No, I don't know. I always love having these chats. I think the biggest thing is there's nothing wrong with asking questions. And I hate how asking questions became vilified.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't mean there's any malice in the question. it seems like when you ask a question, people are like, "Why the fuck are you questioning me?" I'm not asking because I think you're stupid. I'm asking because I'm curious and I want to know your perspective. I want to know, you know, one side of the coin. I'm also going to flip it and look at the other side of the coin. And then I'm going to flip it again and I'm going to look at the rim of the coin. Like there's three sides on a coin.
Yeah.
I'm going to look at it all. And then I'm going to make my own decision that resonates with me. And then people are going to be like, "Oh, well, that doesn't result in truth." Well, what's true right now doesn't necessarily mean what's true tomorrow. Like it's ever changing based on more information. So,
And one of the things too that you're going to find that's just reminded me of that is when you're having a conversation with somebody and they say things like, "Well, not everybody's going to understand that. Not everybody's going to grab that." You got to remind yourself and them that we're not talking to everybody. I'm having a one-on-one conversation with you. What are you doing? You know, what are you doing about it? Not what's everybody else doing, not this, that, the other thing. This is just about you. What are you doing? What are you going to do? Stop to the world, I would say. Stop saying they won't get it. They don't understand. They're not this. They're not that. It's for you. Do for you what you must do for you.
correct.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested in checking out Costa Rica, the very Costa Rica that her and I had just been talking about, you can head over to
Villa Serenidad Tambor.com.
the link will be in the description. If you like vacationing and if you want to get away from North America for a little bit, I cannot recommend a more tranquil, serene, beautiful place to do it. Thank you, Ms. Morrison, for joining us once again on the Mental Mastery Alliance. I absolutely adore our time together.
Me too. It's always fun.
You're
Thanks
wonderful.
for having me.
And ladies and gentlemen, you can hear the music in the background right now, so I will say this quickly. The infamous words of Red Green. Keep your stick on the ice.
I wanna feel your light awaken me. Another star has taken flight. I wanna see and hear the voices follow me. Please take me up, ascendancy. Maybe I'm born again. Maybe in your head. Maybe what you dread is what you need the most. Maybe you unify darkness into light. Somebody take my hand and welcome to the sixth sense of reality. Nothing you have known existed. Welcome to the things you should not say. It's showing you the angels singing dark melody. Are you who you say you are? We're late to a fading paradise. Someone should have saved us from the fifth dimension now. The final countdown. We're floating all around the fifth dimension now. Welcome to the sixth sense of reality. Nothing you have known existed. Welcome to the things you should not see. It's showing you the angels singing dark. Welcome to the sixth sense of reality. Nothing you have known existing. Welcome to the things you should not say. It's showing you the angels singing dark. Welcome to the sixth sense of reality. Nothing you have known existed. Welcome to the things you should not say.
really hope you enjoyed this episode of the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Stay connected with us directly through the mentalmasteryalliance.com. You can also join the discussion on Instagram at instagram.com/the Mental Mastery Alliance. Let the team know you're listening by using the hashtag TMMA or tagging us at the Mental Mastery Alliance. To have your voice heard on the show, leave a voicemail or send a text to 647-338-1265. Long distance charges may apply. If you love us, leave us a review. If you hate us, you spend your time in weird ways, but also leave a review. Every review on iTunes tickles the algorithm, helping us grow. Until next time, unity over division. This concludes the most surreal portion of your day.
You got it, Pontiac.